Yes, people, welcome back to another episode of That Gunners Talk. And we're here after, to be honest, probably one of the best weeks in my lifetime of watching football for with the Arsenal. I don't know if KP will say the same, but for me, one of the best moments and two of the best games I've ever witnessed as an Arsenal fan. Arsenal win 5-1 on aggregate, knocking out the European champions Real Madrid, going to the Bernabeu and picking up a massive, massive result. We're going to talk about Bukayo Saka. We're going to talk about that midfield. We're going to talk about the performances throughout that quarterfinal tie, the chances everyone didn't give us to going into that leg, and ultimately how buzzing we are and looking forward into if we could really win the Champions League this season. Something we talked about from the beginning of the season, but we're no here and it's a potential reality. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to both of our channels, Gunner Street and Cape House Pause. We post Arsenal content weekly and almost daily. So if you like anything Arsenal related, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, join the family for more conversations between both of us. And without further ado, KP, how are you feeling, my brother? Tell me.
Bro, I can't lie, man. I'm still on this high, man. Like, life's been good. Life's been
That's
good.
been great.
Like, I can't stop smiling. Like, anytime, like, I open my phone, like, look at anything Arsenal, I think about Wednesday, I think about last week, and like, considering, I said it in my match review, like, considering how the season's gone, considering, like, think about the conversations we've had both on cam and off cam, like, about many situations, the injuries, the transfer window, the referees, just even the play in general, and just like just the way we dealt with Real Madrid, like like the the fact that 5-1 flattered them on aggregate, like
Really and truly, it did.
is and the fact that like we've gone to the Bernabeu twice and beat them twice, like
Mm-hmm.
we've like I think this is one of those games where like I'm it's not like one of those like okay, we just luckily beat them and we stole a win, or we game obviously we did a game plan. Like it's one of the ones where like this is like one of those moments where like whether we win the Champions League this year or not, and obviously I'm pretty sure we'll speak about that. um like when we're looking back at this, obviously we know this team should have probably won a Premier League by now. They deserve to win one, at least last season, anyways. But this is a mark. It's like because this win is definitely going to live like in a long, long time for Arsenal,
Yep.
like for Arsenal's history. And it's like beating Real Madrid this season, like gives me the confidence. I'm pretty sure we have the players the confidence of like beating anyone else we're going to face in the Champions League this year. And it's 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 the fact that like we're in the semi-finals of the Champions League, Steph.
It's a madness.
Like we're
Whether
actually in the semi-finals of the
whether it's a
Champions League.
madness, I want to before I even get into anything else, KP. I remember we started off before even the ball was kicked, talking about what are our expectations for the season, our players we want to talk about. I think we both said semifinals of the Champions League. To be here right now, even think we're here right now is just like wow, like they've stepped up to the plate. Yes, we talked about winning the Premier League and maybe getting to a semifinal, but I being here right now, going into a semifinal, I'm thinking, why not? Why can't we do it? I mean, we're gonna talk about that more, but I want to start off initially talking about the manager and these players. For me, I want to start off with the manager. A manager who this tie was his make or break. This competition is right now his make or break for this season. It's not going well in the Premier League. He has a lot of criticism about him in terms of what he's done in previous seasons, in terms of recruitment, in terms of not bringing in a striker, not taking us and putting us in proper positions to win trophies potentially. A lot of people have been arguing. A lot of people still have this agenda around Arteta to potentially sack him. And I think this game just shows, like, it gives you a barometer. And this is why you always want to play some of the biggest teams in the world, because it really allows you to really look at yourself. How do we compete? How do we compare against some of the best players in the world? And this game, if it didn't tell people before about Bukayo Saka, world class, the best attacker on the pitch. You had Mbappe, Vinicius, Rodrigo. You had all types of players, all of Endrick off the bench, all types of players you want to bring up that get all this PR hype. Bukayo Saka, easily a 50% fit. Bukayo Saka, best player on the pitch, bar none. Then you look at Declan Rice. People going into that game were saying, "Oh, Jude Bellingham is going to look like 105 million when you see him." Not Declan Rice. People were talking about Camavinga. You're gonna get the Camavinga experience. You're gonna get the Chouameni experience. You look at Modric and that kind of quality and experience that team has had. Declan Rice, best midfielder on the pitch, bar none. Lewis Skelly, he's 18 years old. I can't keep you. I'm lost for words. One of the best players on the pitch at 18 years old, playing at left back. And when I said it in my last video, people were telling me he's not generational. Well, you see players like Lamine Yamal doing what he's doing at that age, Waneri doing what he's doing at that age. I know he might not be a forward, he might not get the goals, he might not get the assists, but how can you not tell me that this is one of the best players right now kicking ball? It's a madness, KP. I've run through a list of players. I know I don't want to talk about all the players because I want to give you some space to get your praise off. But KP, this performance just shows to me why we should continue to back our boys and give our boys credit, because I know we like to look elsewhere and look at all players elsewhere, the Mbappes, the Vinis, and we wish we could have them in our team sometimes. But credit the players that played, because not only were Real Madrid trying to bully those players, Saka showed he was strong enough to stand to the bullying. Martinelli, to a man, every single player to a man stood up and said, we will not be bullied off this pitch. We are better and we showed that we're better. 5-1 flattered them. Should have at least been 5-0 because that goal we gifted them a goal. But KP, I'm gonna let you take it off from there, man. I could go on for ages about these players, man. Give me your thoughts and opinions, man.
No, it's just poetic listening to what you're saying, bro, because it's just facts. Like, end of the day, yeah, were these players, these like some of the players on our team have been performing at a high level, and because of the mainstream media, criticism of Arsenal, because obviously opposition fans always like Arsenal players, and obviously I'm not gonna get into it. I'm focused on you know what I'm talking about. Hyper criticize, have to hyper move the goalposts with Arsenal players in terms of whether what makes them world class or what should rate them or what, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, so I think no one undeniably, like the players like, as you said, Saka, Declan Rice, Saliba, like players like Timber, Lewis Skelly at 18, like performing at like against two legs against, you know, yes, Real Madrid team, and this is not the best Real Madrid team of their latest era, but this is still the reigning champions. This is still a team still fighting for the Liga, still a team that were favourites to win Champions League. And these players in amongst their matchups, as you said in the game, like outschooled, outclassed both on, off the ball, both in mentality, both in quality on the ball, and just in terms of like it looked like men against boys. And to boys, Real Madrid, like to me, I have to respect a lot of these players. Like the way Saliba and Kivio defended in this game is amazing. Like Kivio, we talked about, like I'll give Kivio a shout before I get to Saliba. We talked about Gabriel missing the weeks before. I'm pretty sure me and you both said we want to put Ben White to centre back position. Despite, obviously, don't get me wrong, he played a good game against Everton. The week before. Yes, he has his shortcomings, like all players do. But I think he also had a coming of age moment. I think I did mention it. I spoke about like how when we won against Real Madrid before, like we had a lot of injuries as well. And sometimes this is what happens in a moment where there's two games. All it is two games. We kind of simplify it. It kind of is, but it's kind of underwhelming. Giving it underwhelming what I'm trying to say, but at the same time, two games. As a footballer, you have to do is lock in. Your team's going to galvanize, and you can write yourself into the history or into the recent history of the team. And I think Kivio done that for himself. Saliba was quality on the day, man.
Quality,
Like
man.
bar the mistake, obviously that led to the goal. And I'm not, as I said in my review, I'm not even going to focus on that because I don't
But
care
like, look at the tackle
because
he made on Mbappe
the
and
tackle
on
on
Vinny.
Mbappe, a lot of the recoveries that he was doing, the aerial duels, Martinelli in this game, like this is a player that we like. I think like obviously I've backed countlessly,
Mm-hmm.
and he hasn't been good in terms of his output, the way we know he should be and the way we expect him to be.
Yeah.
But one thing that he never cheats is the game, man. The guy puts in the hard yards for the team, and I think him having two good games against Real Madrid, especially in his Bernabeu game, I think he was very, very good. You could see he was a confidence player, and getting that goal at the end, I think both him and Saka deserved their moment. And to see Martinelli busting the gut like that in the 93rd minute, again, ahead of a player that just came on from the bench. Obviously, yeah, maybe he
Mm-hmm.
might be faster than him. Like, is everything about our team, everything about what Mikel Arteta has built, and obviously our transition to him was shown in this game and showed in this tie. And Arteta actually schooled Ancelotti, and I think
Yep.
big credit has to go to Mikel. And I'll swing it over to you, but Mikel Arteta, I think obviously, despite him not winning one of the majors yet, you know he's gonna win one of the majors.
Yeah.
But
It's
you know
inevitable.
he believes Arsenal, and I think the way that we won this game was one of the and the way that we bossed them in all facts of the pitch, it was a epitome of what he's built, how he's built the team, and how he's built these players, the mentality we had. We like considering the theatrics that Real Madrid tried to pull before the game in terms of all the
Hmm.
media stuff and the hype and all that nonsense
Even during the game
during the
too.
game, the crowd before the game, the nonsense
Hmm.
they're doing. Like we never bought into any of that stuff. So
Hmm.
as I swing it to you, I'm like, I'm just so proud of this team. Like I just continue to I smile because it's like this is what we deserve.
We deserve.
This is
And KP is a full circle moment because I'm gonna bring it to this, and I'm glad we touched on this aspect of it. I was talking to Kishon today, a Man United fan, and he said, and Yudi was also mentioning, it doesn't seem like these players play for the badge or care about Man United. But they were talking about, oh, I like to look at Arsenal's model, how these players are thinking. I said it wasn't like that at Arsenal all the time. This is me. This is what Mikel Arteta built, and this is why you need to back a manager when he was able to get certain guys out of the team. And I'm not saying these guys, but these guys were clearly bad eggs for what he wanted to create. You have guys like Gabriel Magalhaes. You have guys like Declan Rice who came into this project and lifted the belief of the squad, lifted the mentality of the squad, lifted how people view themselves. And credit to a player who we just signed, Mikel Moreno, who's came in, gone from injury to playing a midfield left eight to playing a six, now to playing nine. And he has taken on that mentality of growing into this team. A player like Lakob Kivior, I want to touch on, who doesn't play a week in, week out, who knows he's not first choice, who knows he could kick up a fuss and leave the club, he could make noise, he could do whatever he wants. He's gonna feel entitled to that. But no, he stays down, he stays 10 toes, he waits his time. And now look, I know he's gonna have the rest of the season to potentially battle it out for that position, and you never know what can happen. And okay, if you want to transition it back to you again, I want to talk about the semifinals going forward. Thomas Partey picked up a yellow card, and that hurt me a lot because I thought Partey was quality in both legs, even though he hasn't gotten a lot of the praise. I thought it quietly bossed the midfield as well with Declan Rice in both legs, helping defensively and passing the ball through the lines. Jorginho picked up an injury and against the Brentford game, I think it was. Well, you have a Miles Lewis Skelly who's been brilliant at left back. Calafiori, look, who posted on Instagram saying soon back. He recently posted saying he's gonna be back soon. You hear all this news and updates. You have Mika Moreno, who's been playing good at the nine, who can also play in the midfield position. You have Trossard, and to be fair to him, in the Everton game scored a goal, didn't look bad against Brentford as well. What would you go about doing for this PSG game? Because PSG is a team, yes, we beat already in the Champions League, but they have also evolved since we last played them. Added Kvaratskhelia to the team, who we both know is absolutely quality. What would you do going into that PSG game? What changes would you make to that midfield, seeing we're going to have to find a replacement without Thomas Partey?
obviously I'm gonna speak now because we like I'm pretty sure close to the game we're gonna have conversations. There'll be more team news in terms
Yeah,
of who's fit and stuff like that.
yeah, of
So
course.
like I think I have two options. The first option will be going a bit more safety in the sense of um keeping Miles Lewis Skelly at left back because that's what's been working. That's what he's been playing. We
Yeah,
know Dembele is probably going to be playing on that side, or um, yeah, one of Dembele or Desiree Doué, or obviously they're quite fluid in
yeah,
their front three, anyways. But I would like obviously a player that's been playing in that back four to be familiar, and then I would opt with shifting Mikel Merino into the midfield,
yeah,
shifting Declan Rice to the six, and then bringing in Trossard into the false nine. Obviously, the reason why I'll go with that team is because I feel like you can still like the same way Mikel used Habit sometimes when he put him to the eight, still use Mikel Merino for the long balls,
yeah,
aiming for him for the flick ons and stuff. Still have him making the late runs into the box. He's gonna still have that. he's still gonna have the natural ability to kind of get into the box because he's kind of been playing that position, obviously, albeit coming from a more deeper position. And I think also having Trossard in there, with the false, more the false 90 fluid front three kind of situation can kind of maybe potentially give PSG some problems, given the fact that we don't have Partey in there.
Yeah,
At the same time, I also want to try Lewis Skelly in the midfield.
I do.
And if there was ever opportunity to try it, especially in a big game, I think this will be one of those games, and I think he would own it. I wouldn't want to risk Ricardo Calafiori if he definitely he hasn't had any game time before the
Yeah,
PSG game. And I don't necessarily love the idea of Calafiori against one of those tricky wingers. We've
Desiree
seen him.
Doué and the
Do you know what I'm
Dembele is
saying? And
going to be
Dembele,
great.
do you know what I mean? We've seen him against a
Yeah,
couple of
I've
these.
seen
I'm
it.
not
Yeah.
saying that I like Calafiori. I think he's good and I think he'll do well. But I don't know. And even if you switch Calafiori and Kivu, I still don't like that matchup either. So in that case, if I want to put Lewis Skelly in midfield, I would put Kieran Tierney left back instead because I
Mm,
do trust Kieran Tierney
okay.
defensively
Okay.
for sure against wingers. I do think can offer you that up and down sense in terms of overlapping and just just being solid in possession. Obviously, lovely crossing, and that still lets you put Marino up top. So, what about you? That's just my two options I'm thinking of. So, I guess I can kind of you weren't thinking about team options. So, what was you
Now I
thinking?
wasn't really thinking about Tierney. You got me good with that. That was an interesting show, and also too, you make a good point about game time. Even if Calafiori is back, we've seen Tierney. Even though at the beginning of the season he wasn't getting minutes, he started to get minutes the longer the season has gone on. So we've seen him play. If he just played a full, did he play the full 90 against Everton? I think it was, or Brentford. I don't remember. He played. He started the game, or he
Yeah,
played well in the game. But
Brentford. Yeah, Brentford.
Brentford.
He started against Brentford.
So I mean, hey, listen, I'm not opposed to it. I probably go with the safer option and probably keep Lewis Skelly in that back four. I think that back four, to be honest, you don't shut out Real Madrid like that. I think he shut down Rodrigo, shut down Endrick. I back Lewis Skelly as a one-on-one defender. I think I was reading this stat that said that he's one of the only Premier League players have 15 starts or more that has never been dribbled past this season. So credit to Lewis Skelly as a defender. Credit to him at 18 years old being able to take on that
Yeah, it's
defensive
pretty good, man.
mantle. And if you look at our fullbacks, just to touch on it again, he's very similar to Yuri and Timber, who's grown now to be one of the best one-on-one individual defending fullbacks in the world for me that I've seen with my own two eyes. So if Lewis Skelly could continue to mold his game into that, I don't see why you shift him out of that position, especially you talked about getting those reps there, being comfortable there, and stepping up in big moments there for the club. I'd probably keep Lewis Skelly left back. I'd probably drop Moreno down, but I think Moreno has been so quality in the nine. I think I'd probably go Trossard to start, and if push comes to shove, depending on what the game asks for, you can make substitutions and changes. Maybe bring on a Tierney and push Lewis Skelly into midfield. Maybe you bring on I don't know. You have Waneri as well. Could play through the middle if you want to try Waneri in the middle. Arteta mentioned something like that. I mean, there's a lot of different options you can throw, and it just depends
Could
on
this
what the manager
finally
goes for.
be the moment, like in terms of how the game's gonna be?
Mm.
Um, Obviously, I do want us to kind of. I wish Party was playing because I like the idea of us having, the more dominant,
Yeah,
physical midfield. Even though they do have the technical
at
players,
least
and
we're gonna have it. At least we're gonna have it for the away leg. The home leg is this is where the home leg I think favors us at home. We're still gonna
yeah,
be at home, so we still should
yeah.
win
So
that game.
I'm thinking, is this a game like? And if we're just talking about what we want, because we know Mikel's is a whole different situation. Like, is this the game that Mikel just shifts Odegaard into that 8 and just puts Wanyeri at the 10? Lets him have his real coming out moment because obviously since Saka's kind of come back, Wanyeri's kind of gone back into the not into the shadows because he's played a couple of games from the start,
Yeah,
but not saying I think he's struggled. I just don't feel like he's been able to because he's playing with a more rotated side. He's not playing with the first team, so he's not
yeah,
having that same fluidity. I'm thinking it's a game you put him in the 10, put him in the midfield next to Saka, put Odegaard more deeper, like he can kind of dictate the game alongside, Rice, who, as we know, isn't his necessarily his biggest strength to dictate a game from deep.
yeah.
Like obviously, I would dream of that. Like, and then you can keep Marino up front.
It's a good show. It's a good show. I mean, and I do like that show. I think we've talked about it so much this season about Waneri playing a 10. It's something I would love to see. Though Arteta, where do I think it fall under Arteta would do it meter 1 to 10, 10 being he definitely do it, 1 being he would never do it, or not would never, but he won't do it. I probably say the likelihood of it is maybe a 3, maybe a
Yeah, I
4,
agree.
three
I
or
agree.
4. Because I mean, there's been so many opportunities this season for him to do it, and he's never done it. So
Yeah.
for him to do it against PSG, a team that has a really good tricky midfield. A lot of people have. I saw one guy, Aaron. I can't remember his last name as well. He's a Man United fan. He posts content on Instagram. He said PSG is the most balanced midfield he's ever seen in his entire life. I mean, I think that's a bit of stretch for some praise,
No,
but I do think they have a quality midfield.
they're very very balanced. Though. I
I
can't lie.
think they're very balanced. I wouldn't say the most balanced midfield I've ever seen in my entire life, but I do think they're quality though. But I don't know
Do-
about. I don't know what Arteta would think. I don't think bringing Waneri in that game potential. It surprised me if he do it. I wouldn't mind it, but I think he's probably gonna play it safe and maybe put Trossard up front
yeah, and
and give
Marino,
Trossard the run and give
Yeah,
Moreno the run. But
yeah.
ultimately, we touched on that PSG first leg and how we set up for that. But KP, I want to ask the ultimate question: 3 games left until you're lifting it. It's really you said let's make it simple. You talked about the Real Madrid game simply. It's only just 2 games. It's just 2 games of football. It's 3 games of football left if you want to win this. 3 wins are really a draw. If you win the first leg against PSG and you maybe draw it in the second leg, that's and win the final. That's maybe we could never win the game 190 minutes for the rest of the season and go on to lift it. You could do that as well. What do you think? Do you think Arsenal could do it? Just straight up. Do you think Arsenal
Yes,
can lift
yes,
this
yes,
this
yes,
champions league?
yes, 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 yes. I've shown chess, and I'm not just showing chess because, like, I'm a Madrid Arsenal fan. Like our season's on the line. I genuinely think, like, out of all the other teams, Inter, Barca, PSG now, I think we can beat all of them. And I think where the game slows down in the Champions League, where I trust our defense so much, like so much. I trust our defensive shape. I trust our ability to make it tough for teams to create good chances outside of the mistakes that we might make, which is always going to happen in football. So you can't account for those, but hoping that those don't happen, which doesn't tend to happen. I don't think teams like I struggle to see where teams are going to make more clear-cut chances in the game than we will make for ourselves. Whether
Yeah,
we take our chances, whole different
it's a
story.
different thing. Yeah, I
But
agree.
I've I've seen the meanest teams struggle to like, result to just crossing the ball, and when you cross the ball, you're crossing into like that's what we
Into
want you to do. You
the best
know what I'm
goalkeeper
saying?
who
Goalkeepers'
on cross
hands
claiming
or
ever.
defenders who are
Not
definitely
ever.
gonna get their head on the ball. Like so, like we've yes, this PSG team is a different team than we faced in the group stages early in the season, in the sense of okay, they have one different player, but they're playing different. They understand the manager system. They've won the league in their league. They I think they're on a very good like unbeaten run or something like that.
Yeah, I
So
think they're still
like,
undefeated in the league.
do you know what I'm saying? So they're a good team, but at the same time they're a young team. At the same
Yeah,
time they're gonna play with the ball and they're gonna leave spaces. They're gonna back themselves to want to play, and I think we can win. And as you're saying, 290 minutes both home and away. You don't have to win both games, but I can trust that we can give ourselves the best chance to win both games. And getting to the final, yes, is never written, but I'm confident enough to know it's not like it's different in the sense of it's this our team is not it's not a fluke season where
yeah,
we're the seventh or fourth and we're just kind of playing well in the Champions League. Like we're actually one of the teams that were expected to win Premier League, one of the best teams in Europe, and we're still not even in our prime as to where this team can be. So I'm very confident in our team like doing well in games. And how like the reason why I say this, I'll flip it back to you and you can answer. How many games do you watch Arsenal and you're actually not confident that we're either going to win or not lose?
that's what I'm saying. I agree. I very much agree with that. It's been a very very long time since I went into a game and think, well, we genuinely can lose here. Even when we've had injuries this season, I've genuinely said I don't even think I ever predicted a draw for us this season. And I mean that could be just bias, that could be a bit of naivety in terms of some games, but genuinely, I don't even the games we drew this season is either poor refereeing decisions, mistakes on our part, or we just don't take our chances. And I think we've lost 3 games this season. Best defense in the Prem. We're not a bad team. We just haven't scored a lot of goals like we normally do, and I think that's cost us this season. But when the game opens up in Europe, I think you've seen the beauty of this Arsenal squad. When people think they could, when people dare to leave Bukayo Saka 1-on-1, you see what happens. That's food and drink all day. You leave Martinelli 1-on-1 to get the rhythm, food and drink all day. You traded to put crosses in the box on Arsenal? No chance. You trying to bully Arsenal? No chance. You trying to play through our midfield when we have Partey, Rice, Odegaard? No chance. That like I'm KP and I'm genuinely saying this. I've said this. I said this even before we played the second leg. When Barcelona lost that game 3-1, when Inter had that tie with Bayern, I genuinely said we're the most complete team going into the semifinals. We should be the most confident team. I don't think any team around Europe would want to play us. Seeing what we just did to the defending champions of Real Madrid, who are known for giving these teams the hoodoo, we just convincingly slapped them. Barcelona today, they were down 3-1 until they came back and won that game 4-3. Inter Milan, yes, they're battling for a league title, and yes, PSG have won their league title, and these are good teams. I'm not taking credit away from these guys. But again, we beat PSG once this season. So I'm going with that belief. And Inter, if it wasn't for a penalty, I think there were moments in that game we should have beaten them as well. So listen, I'm confident seeing who's left in the tournament that we can beat them and go through, especially Inter and Barcelona in a one-off game. I think we can find a way past them. For me, I put it. I want to flip it back to you before we close out and maybe look at Ipswich if you want to just give predictions on that. But I'll put it on the predictability scale. Same thing we did with the previous one. 10 is most likely to happen or will happen, and 1 it won't. I give it a high 8 that Arsenal are. I'm that confident that Arsenal will win this Champions League. I give it an 8 because I genuinely think our defense and midfield are so strong technically on the. People like to say about PSG. They're good on the ball. So are we. And I think we have the physicality to match PSG and even better them. Defense, best defense in the world. Like you touched on, it's up to just if we can put our chances away. And as long as we have that number 7 up front, KP, man, I believe in this. I believe in that yellow fella, and I believe in this squad. So as long as we have 7 up front, hey man, anything can happen with this team, man. Anything can happen.
Yeah,
But I just
and
want
that's
to touch on
just
Ipswich. If you have something to say before we
I
move
just say
on.
that it's just like, and people don't understand that our struggles in the Premier League is different. Like teams are going for points. Teams,
Yep.
almost every team in the Premier League adopts a low block when they play Arsenal. Like
Mm-hmm.
most teams in the Champions League are going to back themselves to try and win the game and go at Arsenal. They're not gonna. They're, I don't think any of the wingers in world football work as hard and as dedicated to for their team as our team does, as our wingers do. And so, like, you're gonna see a lot of times Martinelli, Saka get 1v1s and a lot of space in the midfield, for Odegaard or Rice to turn out. And like, we don't see these spaces for these players
Mm-hmm.
so much in the Premier League as we do in the Champions League, and it's why we're seeing ourselves do so well in the Champions League. And it's I back us, as you said. Like I'm confident. Like I'm not fearful of anyone. And teams can't play through us; they have to play around us. And if you play around us means you have to either create some magic moments of movement, or you can't really dribble through Arsenal's midfield. Like you have to
Yeah,
go
you're not
around.
dribbling,
It's
and
just,
you're not dribbling, or
you know,
you're not really getting past Syrian
you're
Timber.
not
You're not
passing
really getting
those. Yeah,
past.
you're not Lewis Skelly. You're not gonna be out. The striker's not gonna be outdoing. And I don't think PSG have a striker. They don't play Goncalo Ramos from the start, so it's not like,
Yeah.
yes, the false nine creates a different situation, but in our shape, I think it's okay. So yeah, like I think we're gonna win the Champions League, man, and I hope we do. I'm not saying, okay, let me not say I hope we win Champions League, and I think we can win the Champions League, and I think we'll definitely get to the final at least, in my opinion. So
I think so
for
too.
the Ipswich game, I just want us to win. Just keep a certain level of momentum. I know we've got Palace in the midweek as well. We've got what,
Yeah.
3 games before we face
I think it
PSG.
might be. I think it might be Ipswich Palace. Then we have a
Oh
break
no, I
off
think it's
because the weekend I think is FA
FA
Cup
Cup. Yeah.
semi-final with
So
Palace. That's why it got brought forward.
we
And then
got
we have
two
the weekend
games.
off going into that Tuesday game. So yeah,
Okay, so you're saying we got a couple weeks to couple of good gaps
yeah,
to let players recover and
yeah.
stuff.
29th,
Just get
29th of April.
just get some 2 good wins out. I think Ipswich all, but I think if they lose this game, they definitely get relegated. I think if
Yeah.
it's something like that. So just do what you got to do. Rotate. It's probably going to be a rotated side. Yeah, probably will be a rotated side because at the end of the day, Premier League, you just
Would
need
you,
to kind of.
would you? I heard people on AFTV talking about maybe potentially making some subs, maybe rotating certain guys. Some guys were for it, some guys weren't for it. In terms of like giving Saka more minutes, so you play Saka in this game. Do you give Martinelli a rest? Do you give Declan Rice a rest, who's been putting in those good performances?
I think
What do you do with
I
Thomas
think because
Partey?
we have two games. We have a game on Wednesday.
Yeah,
We got Sunday, Wednesday. It's like so.
Sunday, Wednesday. Yeah,
I would play a more rotated side today, and then I would play like the team that I want to see against because that's the last game before the PSG game.
yeah,
So like I don't want to play them, Sunday then Wednesday. Players will get a
yeah.
bit too
I see what you're
fatigued,
saying.
and
I see
then
what you're
you're
saying.
hoping. So I rather, certain players are probably gonna have to play anyways. But the likes of
Mm.
Ben White, you know, Rice probably is gonna have to play this game because we don't
Tierney
have any
comes back
options.
in.
Tierney comes back in. You know, Trossard,
Yeah,
Wanyeri,
yeah,
maybe Sterling if you want. Zinchenko in the midfield. Just a bit of rotation, and then against Palace, kind of played the team we want to play against Madrid just to see how that midfield might work out because there's going to be a couple of changes. Maybe you might have to or maybe play Party in this game and then take Party out against Palace and then
yeah,
see if we try a midfield that might play. But at the same time,
yeah.
Mikel won't want to give too much away, so I don't know. But yeah, would you change anyone or would you leave it?
No, I pretty much agree with everything you said in terms of like how I plan out the next two games. But I think ultimately what it comes down for me is securing your second place. I mean, don't I mean we've given this team a pass, and which I think we should have for the Everton result and the Brentford result because I think Everton we were comfortable, Brentford we were comfortable, and we ultimately ended that game as well with 10 men. Due to Jorginho going off injured, we had to close out the last couple of minutes with 10 men. So I think, listen, we've given this team a lot of pass. We've given this team a lot of credit, especially for the performances they put in the big games. For me, it's just seeing it out, keeping that momentum, and secure your second place finish because you've been the second place. You've been the second best team in this league for the whole entire season. Don't let Newcastle or Man City even get close enough to make it even a topic to say that they were closer than they really should have because everyone knows it was really Arsenal and Liverpool until Arsenal just decided they're going to put their eggs in the basket on the Champions League. But KP, thank you for your time, my energy today. Thank you for your time, my energy people as well. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Gunner Street and Cape Has Pause for daily and weekly Arsenal content. Everything Arsenal on both of our channels. If you like the that Gunners Talk podcast, we're also coming to you weekly on the weekends. So don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an upload. And also leave your thoughts in the comment section down below what midfield changes you'd make for the Ipswich game and going forward into that PSG game. But thank you, people, for your love and support. And I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.
Peace.